Welcome back to the MotorFab YouTube channel. Thank you all for the amazing response to last week's episode. Really enjoyed bringing it to you and enjoyed the feedback. It was great. A few things. Street Machine did come. They did check out the Monaro. They did a photo shoot. I'll give you a little bit of a scoop on that this episode. Check that out. It's very exciting times coming up with the race. Not exactly sure the details of how it's panning out just yet, but it's going to be cool. It's going to happen, and I've been following Harry's build, watching his car, and Steve Metcalf for Rad FE. I've been following that as well. His car's running. It's happening. So I'm hoping only a couple of weeks behind him with the running. So it's all happening. It's really exciting stuff. And so I did the photo shoot. That was really cool. And shirts. You guys responded well. We've been packaging shirts and hoodies all week, just smashing them out all over Australia. Hopefully a lot of you guys will have them. A few guys have been posting up pictures of them and stuff on Facebook. So yeah, do that. I love that. That's cool. And I hope you're enjoying them. And if you haven't ordered yet, obviously order. They're really cool shirts, really cool hoodies. And something that we're probably going to do. So there's a bit of a surprise down the track next year in the store for the Monaro and its appearance. But I'm not going to tell you too much about that. But next year the Monaro will change in appearance, is all I'll say. And from when that happens, this artwork will become limited. It won't happen anymore. So these shirts and hoodies are a limited edition. So we'll run them through to the end of the year. We'll run them through our Summonats efforts and stuff like that. So get in quick. We've sold out of a couple of sizes already. I'm going to have to do another run, but I'm not too sure how quick that'll happen. So get in quick, especially while it's cold. Get your hoodies, get your t-shirts while you're at it. Thank you for the amazing response I've had so far. I've sold so much stuff. It's fantastic. I really do. Yeah, from the bottom of my ticker, I appreciate the support that we get. I really do. Really am honoured that you guys are honoured to wear our Monaro and our brand on your backs. So thank you so much. I do really appreciate that. And it makes me more energetic and have more pride to bring you more and more better content and to hook in and get this Monaro done. So that's what I've been doing. It's all coming together as you'll see this episode. I would have liked to have got more done this week, but I've just plain run out of time. But it's happening, and it's happening good. So next week we'll get more done. We'll hopefully have the engine completed next week. Hopefully have the front end back late next week or early the following week. And then once the front end comes back, you'll see this episode, pull the front end out and dismantle it. Once it comes back, it's all going to go together, and the whole car is going to go together for its final assembly, and then plumbing and wiring. So it's getting really close. I'm getting really excited. I can't wait to rip that first skid in it. Really looking forward to that. So I won't try to ramble on too much. You'll also see a few new little bits and pieces this episode. Enjoy more than ever. Don't forget, like and subscribe, and enjoy the channel. Thanks for your support. Keep coming back. Righto, so we are going to put the cylinder heads on, and we're going to check our piston and valve clearance, and more importantly, because we're running stock piston, such a big valve, we're going to check the valve cutout as part of our piston and valve clearance. It's all the same thing, I know, but it's one thing we haven't measured yet. Trying to look for it. Right. I've got the wrong holes there, haven't I?
Yeah.
There you go. Beautiful. Righto, let's go on to the next bit. We need to put a timing chain on it and check it. Cool. So our motor's starting to look like something pretty cool. All those second-hand parts. No one said a junkyard had to be standard parts, did they? Junkyard second-hand parts. So we're sort of keeping the theme alive. we've got a lot of new parts in the springs and locks, retainers, shims, all a bit. We've got a new timing chain, obviously that's just senseless to use second-hand one of them. New head studs, same again, senseless to use second-hand parts there. Probably could if you wanted. We are using second-hand lifters, second-hand cam, the crank block, pistons, rods, all that was all part of the engine that we got before. To the astute viewer that picked up that one of the lifter bars was upside down, fixed that. And someone else picked up that there's two of the pistons are back to front. They're identical to pistons, so that doesn't matter. But yes, we did make sure the chamfer was the right way on the rod. Whoever built this engine last time put the rod on the piston the wrong way around. So they actually had it in the engine the wrong way, but we've flipped it back. So all the rods run the right way. Two pistons run the wrong way. We can live with that. Just a little dot at the end of the day. Chevy might be old, but his internal clock is impeccable. He sleeps all day until 5 minutes before the smoko truck arrives, and then he waits. And when the smoko truck arrives, he goes ballistic. It's very intense. So the Monaro is getting closer. When that's finished, we've got a few different directions that we can go with the channel. How about you tell me in the comments what you want to see? Obviously you'll see more racing from the Ute. It's already done. I've nearly finished with VL, so we could chuck that back together. Tirana is definitely on the list. You're going to see a lot of that once the Monaro is done. I also got my old rat rod sitting over here that is in desperate need of some love. So I'm just trying to work out what we do. More of a build feature or just a little bit of each. What do you want to see? Let me know in the comments what you guys want to see more of. So to all the guys that said they're impressed that we do things properly, thank you very much. But now we're about to start doing things not so properly. Our piston, the valve clearance test failed because of the bigger valves, so they go into the eyebrow, and rather than pull the whole engine apart, I'm just going to die grind the top of the piston in situ. I know it's naughty, it's bad, but yeah, this bottom end's borrowed time anyway, so who cares?
Yes, over a little bit. Stand at that same angle.
Actually really awkward angle to work at. No, it's not healthy at all. Oh, flycut Luke. What do you reckon, Marvin?
Beautiful.
I just tied up that corner. You ever done anything dodgy, Marvin?
I won't tell if you won't.
It's all over the video for all the YouTubers to see. That new compressor got some sauce, hasn't it?
It's a good one, isn't it?
Yeah, pull it all in the ring gap then. Righto. We'll take this apart and cut and come see if it works. Right, so let's quickly talk about the photo shoot. I mentioned last week that Street Machine wanted to come down and snap some pictures of the Monaro, which they did. And I just want to quickly, I'll show you some footage of that, and I filmed that process happening, and just go into a little bit of detail. So I don't actually I don't think anyone does. The details aren't 100% decided on the race and how that's going to pan. I think the main thing is we all get our cars finished first, so and then get COVID out of the way so we can coordinate something like that. But it's definitely happening. And there's more and more people starting to get behind it, which is fantastic. Now, one of the guys that's got behind it was the photographer that came down for Street Machine to shoot the Monaro, and his name is Rick Walsh. And mate, he was absolute honoured to meet the guy. He's a very passionate man about his work, and the way he set up his cameras and his flashes, and he got a picture in his mind of how he wanted the picture to look, and he just kept changing and doing things until he got it exactly to look like that picture that he'd perceived in his mind. So I really admire someone who's so passionate about their work, and Rick's an absolute massive shout out to you, Rick Walsh. Absolute legend of a bloke. What he's doing for the industry and the car scene, and the movement from the older ways to the newer ways, like with these YouTube builds and junkyard stuff, is brilliant. He's very involved in the industry. He's got a beautiful Barbados green HQ that I've seen out at the track, and just a dead set legend of bloke. He's one of us. He's a car guy. He's passionate about his work, a hard worker, and the industry needs more people like him, and just a dead set good bloke. So I absolutely can't wait until we get this thing going and just hanging out and going on the road and doing fun stuff with Rick and the boys. He's going to be a bit of a barrel of laughs to be around, I reckon. And so yeah, thank you very much for coming down and doing the shoot. Absolute honour to meet you, Rick. And thanks for your efforts to get those shots exactly how you wanted them. And cool. So I'll show you the footage now. It was a good time. We put out the call out and someone's listened. We got Rick Walsh here from Street Machine Magazine, has come to take some pictures of a beautiful Monaro. Not the show car style he's used to, but look at this. He's turned up in Harry's shirt. Harry sent a spy to see what's going on. We got nothing to hide here, Harry. And this race is definitely going ahead, so keep your eyes on Street Machine Magazine for more details of what's going to happen. It's a pretty exciting time. And look at the Monaro in all her glory. Getting the royal treatment, paparazzi and all.
Follow White Rabbit. I'm taking potions, call me Alice. Watch me grow taller. Yeah, Rabbit's watches in his pocket. Yeah, he stays late, but he leads me so I follow. Wandering around in Wonderland, wondering how or if I'll ever
empty bay. I'm going to rip the front end out. I've already had the calipers all rebuilt and serviced. We've been through that. The rest of it's all just standard. As you can see, all the bushes, ball joints, bearings, head bolts, everything's a bit messy. So I'm going to rip the front end out and we're going to dismantle it, get it powder coated and put new everything in it. Put it back in the car, and then by that stage the engine will be finished, ready to go in. The box is done, so everything hardware wise is going to go back in, and then we're on to plumbing and wiring. So let's get this front end out. Sleep time, mate. Righto, so not the easiest car in the world to get the front end out of. Bolt here. One at the same on the other side. One here. I've already had the steering one out. Bit of wire in it. I actually didn't even have that out when I bought the car. That's how it was. I don't know if they try to put it back together into some sort of thing. I don't know. That's just how it was. So let's get the get this thing out. Get it refreshed. Had a hell of a mess, as you can see. Pulled that front end out. That was easy. Everything's easy to this point. Just pretty much undo the bolts. Make sure you keep all the nuts and bolts and washers and stuff. The only thing you gotta be really careful of, the lower ball joint here. When you separate that, where's our sub axle? So I'm pretty sure we've all learnt by this stage. So that obviously bolts in there. When you separate that, you don't hit, everyone should know this, I'm sure, but for those people who don't, young blokes might not have done it before, you don't hit the top of the nut. Like you see, they're all scarred from people hitting them. You can see there's no clean where I haven't hit it at all. You hit here on the side. It sounds crazy. Why would you hit the side to make that drop through? Don't know, it just works. You bash that. Actually, what it does, it separates the taper. So you bash the crap out of the side of that with the hammer, and then dunk, all of a sudden the pressure of the spring just boop, and they fall out. But you got to be really careful, because when they let go, oh my God, do they let go. And they shoot and fly out, and if you've got your fingers anywhere near the action, you'll lose them. So that there's pretty straightforward, especially if you're doing them on the hoist. If you did it up there in the car, when you separate the ball joint, the spring pushes that bottom control arm away with a lot of force, and shit flies everywhere. So other than that, just be careful when you separate that. I'm going to go through the process, but obviously this thing's got to go off the powder coat, so that'll take a week or so till it comes back. But when I put it back together, I'm going to dispel a few myths about these front ends and the parts that you put back together. If you have a look over here, here's a old bump in, and the light won't turn on because we're already under action, but right down there, it might work. We're still running a standard front end, standard HG front end in bumping. It's got a set of coilovers. The front end's been modified. It still runs standard spring. It just runs a set of coilovers in the standard front end. So a lot of people are quite surprised that car's still standard floor pan. The only thing changing the floor pan is the mini tubs in the back, and it's got a set of chassis connectors welded in, but to be honest, I wouldn't do it that way again. The roll cage is enough to stiffen it, so it still runs a stock front end, just a rack conversion. This one will be stock front end without the rack conversion, as you all know. So now to the tricky part, waffling on a little bit. These here, so you take these bolts out and nothing happens, obviously. What you've actually got to do is you've got to push the bush out both sides, which is really tricky because you can't get in behind there with anything. So you can either make a tool or we'll gin around with it a bit, and I'll show you in a sec how we get them out. And to get those arms off, they're a bit of a bugger. And getting, obviously, this ball joint to separate once this is all loose and you can't put any pressure against it. But I'll show you that now as we start to pull it all apart. So here we go. That's the bush that comes out of there. You can see there's been a fight and I won. I'm going to try to start with camera and show you how to get the other side out, because they're a little bit of a bastard. So I'll set this up and we'll do it. So I'll show you the process first. So what you got to do, there's a few different ways to do. I used to have a tool you could get in the back of it, but I can't find it. So I'll just do it with a cold chisel. So you bang the cold chisel in behind the bush there, and that starts to free it up. The front one was really rusty, hasn't been changed for a long time, but this one's been replaced at some stage. So I reckon it's going to come out a bit easier. You get it in behind there, but you can't get any angle against it. So what I try to do is just hold firm pressure that way while you hammer it. And that short tapping motion seems to pop him out of there, but it's a slow process. This one will prove me wrong and pop right out. Let's do it. I'm puffed from doing the last one. I had to bash it. I got my safeties on after I got a bit of shit in my eye. Always shut the gate after the horse is bolted, don't you? It takes a bit to work it so you can actually get under the edge of the bush. Right there, you can hear. I always say listen to everything. You can hear the noise change when it releases. Now this is the bit I was telling you about, so you can't get angle to get behind it. I don't know if hopefully you can see that. But, so what you do, you've got a chamfered edge on the thing, so by putting a little bit of pressure like that, as you jam that beveled edge against the back of the bush, it is enough force to push it up. You can hear it release. It's more of a dull thump. Now that we've got it to release, put a bit of Wonder Sauce in there. It's just inox. We use it for everything. I like it. Once that gets in there and lubes them all up, should pop right out. Oh, that's great. There we go. That little bugger right there. Then, that's the only way of getting them off. And even still, they don't fit off. There's a little sweet spot. you can get them off just. There it is right there. That's how you get the lower arm off. All done. Ready for blasting and coating. I won't bore you through the other side. So that has been, look at the destruction. That has been an absolute bloody mission. But they're off. The other side there, the bushes had actually come out of the control arms easy, but the inside had jammed up on the little spigot, the little shaft, spout, whatever you want to call it, that sticks out. So it just wouldn't come apart. But I've got it. I've persisted. Now we just got to get these ball joints separated. They're a bit tricky now because they're out of the car. But I'll get set up in the vise and we'll see if we can separate them. And that's it. That's all ready to go off to get blasted and powder coated. And I'll get the kit and we'll rebuild it. So let's see if we can get these ball joints apart. So I just gone to grab the vise to get these ball joints out and realised that the notch is still in there. So I thought I'd explain something that's happened around here at Motorfab. So this is the notcher that we use for everything. And we go through a lot of hole saws. We've got boxes of hole saws that go on the notcher and various other things. Been using this for a long time. I actually borrowed it off a mate of mine about 10 years ago and I haven't given it back to him. So thanks for the loan, Lockie. And I've bought a new notcher I'm about to show you, so you can have your notcher back. So every single join on a race car is notched. So that's what that does. It cuts the hole through and puts the nice. It does a really good job. Sorry about the shadows. I haven't turned the light on. It does a really nice job, but as you can see, the whole car, there's literally hundreds of notches just in this car. So I've splashed out and got this little doozy over here. There's the big block Monaro. There's the pipes, by the way, all finished. And yeah, I've bought this lovely bit of equipment. This is a big 3-phase notcher. So that's going to be somewhat a lot faster than the way I was doing it. So see there by comparison, it's a big machine. And yeah, you load it in, set your angle and bang the handle in and rips out your notch. So I like new tools and that one's pretty exciting. I've wanted one of them for a long time. So looking forward to getting that set up and doing some more notching, showing you guys through the rest of the Tirana build. And yeah, exciting times ahead. Right now, let's get back to the boring stuff and get these ball joints separated. And just while we're on tools, we're just bridged around the workshop. I'm probably just dilly-dallying and I don't really want to separate these ball joints, but anyway, get sidetracked. Sorry about the mess, but yeah, there's been a few questions about the mandrel bender. You saw me new compressor the other day. And there's been a few people made comment about I'm lucky that I've got a workshop and all the tools and stuff like that. And yes, I do. I've got lots of tools, mandrel bender, automatic cut-off saws, mills and lathes, and multiple welders and all that sort of stuff, and lineages and buffs and all this stuff, drill presses. But yeah, just like a lot of you guys, and there's a shitload of suspension kit I was there to go out as well. I'll get back to that. But yeah, just like you guys, I actually started a whole lot of drills and grinders. I started in a tiny little shed with a crappy Chinese MIG welder and a grinder and a drill. Yeah, a few years ago now, but I've built up my tool collection one by one and just kept adding and building and adding and building. I love getting new tools and I love saving up and buying them. A lot of them I bought secondhand to just keep expanding the business, and I've got plans to get a lot more. And yeah, I like getting bigger and better equipment. And you'll see Monaros are multiplying in a shop as well. There's another one's come in, another beauty. That's a HK Monaro. It's actually a GTS car, a Sagnor hump and a Salisbury hump as well. So pretty exciting. We're doing a bit of stuff on that, a rear end and a diff and stuff like that. So might even show you over a bit of that. But, so yeah, they're multiplying. We like Monaros. Cool, righto, let's get back to the ball joints. I've delayed enough. Righto, let's get this ball joint. Hopefully you guys can see. You're on the bench so that when I hammer stuff, probably gonna mess with the footage. That's that out of there. We got 19, 3/4. There's actually, you shouldn't really swap the imperial and metric, but we all swap the 13 for the 1/2 inch. But 19 and 3/4 apparently is actually the closest of the two sizes. This is worrying because it's not very tight. It's covered in a lot of crap, but one of my pet hates is working on dirty cars. That's why a lot of people would have probably just changed the bushers and ball joints in the car and been done with it. But especially on a junkyard build, but down the track this car is going to be built nice, so I'm going to do the front end right and do it right now, except for the rack. I should have done the rack. But yeah, I just hate working on dirty stuff, so when these are powder coated, they're really nice to work on. Nice and clean. Shouldn't have to work on it, but nice to work around, put it that way. So I'm hoping this is going to separate and show. Hey, look at that. Someone's been here before. Imagine driving that around in the old girl. She just fell out. So there you go. I didn't even get to show you how to separate them. That's a plus because I don't have to do it. But yeah, you just work on that really hard and they pop straight out. So let's get the other one. Look at that. I put that job off and turns out didn't really need to worry because someone's obviously separated them or they'd come apart at some stage. Who knows? Either way, it's done. Let's get the next one out the way. Hopefully it's just as easy. So these old cars, right, they drive like crap, let's be honest. And that's why everyone's sort of, you know, the rear ends are terrible. That's why we have a popular product with the rear ends that makes them drive a lot nicer. But with the front end, we do actually have a pretty cool front end development. That's a while off, so don't ask if you can buy one yet because they're a while off. But things like this, like when the bushes and that wear out in them, they're just terrible. Like that car would have, I don't know if you can see that, sorry. That car would have absolutely drove like junk. So, give him a birthday. The bushes and ball joints available these days are far better quality than the stuff of yesteryear. It really makes them drive a lot nicer. I'm going to show you what I like to use in them, what bushings and stuff like that, and I'm going to dispel a few myths over the next couple of weeks. And my ute bumping over there actually drives really nice. It's a really nice car to drive. Works really good. Like I showed you before, it's just standard front end in it. Oh, look at that. We've had a win again. Everything's fought me all day today, and now it's starting to get a few wins, which is good. It's always good when a split pin comes out easy. That's that. Oh, we've hit a snag now. We might put the old ring spanner. Now I'm going to give a tip for the kiddies here. Most of the more experienced people probably know. If you got a tight bolt, don't just push on it. Because what it does is it actually grabs the metal and it balls up the metal between the two surfaces that are creating the friction. And then it actually gets tighter, and then the heat creates friction, which makes it get tighter again. And that's where you snap bolts. The best is a short, sharp crack, and it just frees the bolt. It's a lot better. You'll always, if you try to just push something, that's when you'll snap the bolt or do damage. But if you just give them a really short, sharp crack, see that, and bang, it's done. It doesn't get stuck. You can see how much crud and crap and corruptions on that, and it's not even grabbing, because it's always the first initial loosening of the bolt that creates the problem and the friction of the ball of metal underneath. So that's a little tip for the young fellas, that when you're undoing old crappy bolts, even if you get a mallet and just tap the mallet on the spanner or the socket or whatever you're using to get it started and release it first, is much better than a big push. Alright, let's get this knot off. And hopefully this one just drops off too. So I got it in the vise here, right? This isn't very heavy, but hopefully the weight is going to just be enough to help it. Are we going to get lucky twice in a row? Probably not. And as most people probably know, ball joints can be a nightmare. I just got to tap and check the camera's not going to. The camera is going to have a fit. See how you go, guys. Hold on for the ride. We got ourselves a tight one. Oh, beauty. So I got that under the vise there. I'm going to give that a good push. I'm just going to get me spectacles because shit's flying off everywhere. A bit more Wonder Juice. There we go. As you saw, all the hits are on the outside, nothing on the front. And down she pops. That ball joint is stuffed. So that car was driven like junk. So we got our stub axles. We're using the standard stub axles. Upgrading to HQ brakes. And there you go. We're all ready to go to sandblast and powder coat. Really actually hoping today to put some more of the engine together for you guys. I finished my dodgy valve reliefs. I'm going to get absolutely crucified. The internet is going to hate me for what I did there. And if it fails, you can all say I told you so. And if it works, well, everyone will probably be quiet. I would never do that on a decent engine. The fact that these were the pistons that came in the wrecker's motor that I bought, and they're crap pistons anyway, I don't care. Yeah, whatever. It was a quick, easy way. We're trying to get this thing done in a hurry. I know it's shonky, but if it works, it works. It doesn't have to do much. Just go up and down, eh? Fix the lifter bars. Shoot, viewer noticed that. Thank you. And run over quickly. I think I've already run over why those pistons, those two front ones, they put them on the wrong way around on the rod. So we've made sure the chamfer and the bearing and all that is the right way. So that's done, ready to go. And the heads, we've just finished putting the springs. We got all new locks and retainers and spring locators and everything like that. New springs. So, and the heads, obviously, lovely job by Doug at RLC Engine Reconditioning. He's done an amazing job of giving these heads a new lease on life. So, I was trying to get them on today, and got our new Kinetic head gaskets there from VPW. I was trying to get it all on the engine and get it all as one piece again, but I've run out of time. So that will happen next week. You'll see the engine go back together. So my rush was to get the front end together so that apart, so we can get the powder coating done. So I need to get that away and get done. So then, while that's getting done, we can finish the engine, and then when it comes back, I can put the whole car together with the complete engine in it. And yeah, it's all starting to happen. Getting really excited. Going to put it to bed tonight and get home and edit this video for you guys and get it up before a silly hour. So I'll try to get up a decent hour for you guys. Otherwise, I will be staying back late and building this engine. Hey guys, so a little bit different. I'm going to add into the channel. I won't say weekly because I'll get sidetracked and be flat out building a car and I won't do it. So it's not a weekly thing, but we'll call it question of the week anyway. So yeah, because there's a lot of questions go out, and sometimes they're good ones, and they're something that I can iterate more on, but not in the comments under the video on YouTube. So I'll address it on here, and yeah, it's probably engaging for you guys to get into it. So this week's question goes to Carl Wisniewski. He's asked about, he's got a VL rack in a HK front end. I think it might be in a hot rod, I think he said. Now that's something I can shed a little light on. He said it's got a bit of a bump steer issue. So yes, with bump in the ute and several other racks I've done, we do use an early Commodore rack, and we shorten, and they're obviously at the back. Because you got to remember, if a rack started life in a car behind the center line of the front wheels, it has to stay behind, and if it was in the front, it has to stay in front, because if you put a front rack to the back, it'll steer the wrong way. You'll turn left and it'll turn right. If you put a back rack in the front, same scenario. So back, as far as front racks go, he's a Tirana rack. As far as back racks go, he's an early Commodore rack. Now, we shorten, when we use an early Commodore rack, we shorten the rack. So we actually pull it down, we shorten the body. We shorten the body a little extra than what we do the rack, because then it gives us some more steering lock. And the reason we do that is because we try to retain the steering box steering arms, which give you a good steering ratio. So it actually gives you nice light steering, because you've got a longer ratio. Again, all this stuff is ratio. So the ratio from the distance of the steering arm to the front of the stub axle, if that's long, it's going to make it easier to turn, but you're going to have to do, you're not going to get as much turning, because you're changing the ratio. It's a leverage thing. So we shorten the body of the rack more than what we shorten the rack itself. Now, the shortening of the rack, that's something I can go into for days about geometry to get rid of your bump steer. So that's a topic for another day. But just a quick little topic I do want to touch on. If you're using a VB, VC, VH Commodore, perfect. Good rack to have, even VK manual steer. Good rack to use in these early cars. Shortened obviously, and at the back. Now, you've mentioned in the question that you've used a VL rack. Now, there's something unique about the VL. Most VLs were power steer, right? But there are rare base model VLs that weren't power steer. Now, there's something cool about those racks. They were actually a Kirby Bishop rack, which is an Australian company, and they have a patent pending on the rack that they actually used in the VL Commodore. Now, the unique thing about that rack and why they were able to achieve a patent on that, a patent pending on their rack design, was it was a variable ratio rack. So in the middle on the highway, the ratio of the teeth is actually different to when you get out towards full lock for a car park thing. And Holden, I guess, were experimenting with that Kirby Bishop company to come up with a rack, or Kirby Bishop already came up with it, and Holden decided to use it as a bit of an experimental thing on a non-power steer rack that was good on the highway, but it still turned nice and easy in a car park. Now, they work brilliant in a VL, but once you try to shorten them and put them into an early car, you're messing with the distance there. So you can come up with a system. Now, the other thing they're very critical about, you can shorten it, and that's not an issue, but you've got to be mindful that out towards the end, if you shorten too much of that travel off the ends, you're going to get ended up with just the dull bit in the middle where it doesn't turn much. And the other issue that you need to look at with those racks, and I've actually had problems with this before, we've moved racks over just a tiny little bit for clearance of the pipe, and it's not been a problem with early racks, but when you do it with a VL rack, when you move it over, because those teeth change pitch as they go through for the variable ratio, the rack itself, if you move it off center at all, if it's not center in the car, the steering will be easy and the steering will be not so direct one way, and it'll be really direct the other way. So it's very important if you're using a VL rack, a Kirby Bishop patent pending rack, it's got patent pending stamped on the rack, it's very important that you go to a lot of trouble to center that rack in the car. That's obviously too much information for me to have typed out in the comments, but I thought I'd address it. And if you've got any other comments and stuff like that, obviously I can't get all of them, but I will try each week to pick a comment that's good that we can shed some good light on and put on the channel. So keep them coming. Look forward to seeing what you guys are asking about.